Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2! Please click into my profile to watch part 1 if you haven't already done so. This video is a comprehensive F1 sim racing guide and will be extremely technical. Let's begin and get into the settings page. Alright, in part 2, we'll be turning off all assists. This is as close as you can get to real life racing. With anti-lock brakes and traction control off, we will have to make sure to brake and accelerate according to our speed and on how much we're steering the wheel. Racing line off means that we have to memorize our braking, turning and accelerating points. Manual gear means we must memorize what gear to drop down to for each corner. And for the below 5 assist, I have already covered DRS in part 1. For the rest, it will be covered later on. Alright, let's begin with traction control. You can look at the bottom of my screen to see how much I'm stepping on my accelerator and my brake pedal. At low speeds, we cannot accelerate too much as the F1 car is extremely powerful. If the power is too high for the wheel to rotate on the ground, it will just rotate by itself and lose grip of the ground. To accelerate at low speed, gently step on the pedals and gradually apply pressure as the speed of the car increases. Okay, now braking. Braking is the opposite of acceleration, where you have to step hard first and then release it as your car becomes slower. It's the same principle. F1 brakes are extremely powerful and they might lose traction if the tires lose their speed too fast. Look at what will happen if you step on the brakes too much, like you're in the arcade. Your tires will start to smoke, the temperature will increase, you'll lose traction control on your next acceleration. And you won't be able to turn as well. Next up, how do you know when to start braking? It is based purely on memory. There are usually markers to know when to start braking. For example, for this corner, the braking zone is at the 100-meter board. Depending on the situation of the race and the condition of the car, you might need to brake earlier or later. Now, the next two assists are for pitting. Before entering the pit, you need to slow down the car to either 60 or 80 km per hour. Turn on the pit limiter, which will limit your speed at either 80 or 60 depending on the circuit, and enter the pit. And once you're in the pit, change your tires, you have to step on the clutch. Step on the clutch, accelerate, and when the light turns green, release the clutch. And once you reach the end of the pit lane, you have to press the pit limiter again to regain speed and accelerate. Next assist is the ERS assist. ERS stands for Energy Recovery System. F1 cars have a 1.6 litres V6 turbo hybrid engines. Just like any other hybrid engines, the engine will harvest the energy loss and store it in the battery. With enough charge, the overtake button can be pressed to give the car an extra 160 brake horsepower. Lastly is the fuel mix. There are 3 settings to fuel mix: lean, standard, and rich. We need to make sure that we have enough fuel to end the race, but also end the race with as little fuel as possible. It is recommended to turn the fuel mix to rich for long straights, and right before the turning point, turn it to lean to save some fuel. And then once you're accelerating again, you change back to rich. And that's about everything you need to know in F1 sim racing. Let's combine everything together and complete a full lap, starting from the back and overtaking all the AI. Alright, let's go. Of course, I have set the difficulty to be easy, and it will not be possible for me to overtake everyone in one lap. Collusion, not my fault, he's so slow. Long straight, chong ah. And here's one full lap at Bahrain circuit.